Now for what has to be the most jaw-dropping new feature to be added to Photoshop in years, content-aware scaling. This is a highly automated feature, and when it works amazingly well. Now you have to see it to truly appreciate it, but here's the idea. Content-aware scaling is capable of scaling just the low-detail information inside of an image while keeping the actual, real, identifiable objects intact. So for example, we're going to take this horizontal image right here and convert it into a vertical image while keeping each one of the boats intact. We're even going to take this dinghy and scoot it a little bit under these boats. And it's going to happen all automatically thanks to a single command. All right, so here I am in a bridge. I'm going to double-click on this image to open it up inside Photoshop. I'm going to press Shift-Tab to bring up my panels. Now, content-aware scaling is ultimately a transformation function, just like regular scaling and rotation. And transformation functions work best on independent layers. So I'm going to go ahead and double-click on the background layer, and I'll call this new layer Boats, and click the OK button. Now I want to give myself some headroom, so I'll go up to the Image menu, and I'll choose the Canvas Size command. Now let's go ahead and convert this image to an 8-inch by 8-inch square, like so, and click OK. And now I've got some room to work at the top here. Now for the command itself, I'll go to the Edit menu and choose Content-Aware Scale. And I'm going to reduce the width of the image. And watch this. See, I was telling you that dinghy. It's going to scoot underneath that other boat right there. Watch it go. And look how far we can compress this image before we start messing up the boats. I mean, these guys are going to run into each other here. The land mass in the background is getting pretty squished. The foreground water is getting squished as well. But it's hard to identify that where it's easy to see that the boats are still in great shape. We don't want to go quite that far with the modification, so I'll take it a little wider. And then I'll go ahead and scale the height too. Now you can do all of this in a single operation if you like so. But if you do, you're going to start wreaking havoc in certain parts of the image. For example, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to the bottom of this image, and you can see how this wave pattern is really getting distorted. It's almost as if we're seeing the image from a different perspective at this point, like we're looking straight down at the water here, and then we're seeing it at an angle up here. And we definitely don't want those kinds of misalignments. So I'm going to zoom back out. And what I'd suggest you do in this case is approach the image in two operations, in two passes. So I'll scale it quite a bit horizontally and then just a little bit vertically. And then I'll press the Enter key or the Return key on a Mac in order to complete the operation. And then once it's done, I'd go back up to the Edit menu, choose Content Aware Scale again, and go ahead and finish off the effect like so. And then press the Enter key or the Return key on a Mac to apply. Finally, I'm going to go up to the Image menu and I'll choose the Trim command. And I'll trim away my transparent pixels, click OK, and there's my vertically formatted image. So here's the difference, folks. This is before, and this is after. Now, there's still some distortion in the wave patterns. I could have taken it in 3 or 4 passes instead if I wanted to avoid that. But we aren't harming the boats. Before, after, it's absolutely stunning. All right, let's go ahead and close this image, take a look at a different image. Let's see what kind of problems we might run into. Here's this woman that's jumping in the sky. I want to change her from a horizontal format to a vertical format as well. And the funny thing is I just recently used this image as an example of what Photoshop CS3 could not do. Now it becomes an example of what Photoshop CS4 can do. I've already converted this woman to an independent layer, so I'm going to Shift-Tab away those panels. Then I'll go up to the Image menu and choose Canvas Size. And let's go ahead and give her a height of 6 inches. So once again, she's square. And now I'll go to the Edit menu and choose Content Aware Scale. And I'll make her narrower. And notice that she holds up pretty well as I make this image narrower. I have to go pretty far before she starts getting stunted. So right about here, she's still normal. She hasn't been harmed. But as soon as I make her taller, notice that we do run into a bit of a problem. And this is pretty typical for content-aware scaling. Fortunately, we have some protection up here in the options bar. We've got this little icon here that allows us to protect skin tones. And by skin tones, we mean actual exposed skin, warm stuff inside of the image. So if I turn it on, notice that everything but her pants is now protected. I'm going to zoom out. And if I scale her all the way like so, then I'm going to expand her pants. And we don't want that. So I'll go ahead and drag this top handle down a little bit until we get some normal size pants, and then I'll press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac. And I'll follow it up with the second application of Content Aware Scale and drag that top handle all the way up, and she remains completely intact, which is fantastic. Let's go ahead and trim away those transparent pixels once again. And now I'll zoom in. This is the after version of the image. This is the before version. So it's absolutely amazing that we can get away with this kind of modification. We have stretched her pants just a little bit, but it looks like they're being buoyed up because, you know, she's in the air. So it looks fine. Oh my goodness. All right, one last example. I'm going to switch back to the bridge here. Let's go down to this image. Now, this image is fairly cluttered with a lot of detailed information. So this is the kind of photograph that gives content-aware scale some problems. I'm going to go ahead and double-click on it in order to open it up inside of Photoshop. Once again, I've already established that image on its own independent layer. And I'm not going to try to scale this one taller because we don't have any headroom to work with. We have nothing to scale. But I am going to make it narrower. So I'll go up to the Edit menu, and I'll choose Content-Aware Scale. And I will drag this fairly far over to the right. Now you can see that even though I have my protected skin tones option on, I am ruining my child's arm right here. This is quite bad, I think. So I'll go ahead and turn this option off and see if it fares any better, and it doesn't. Now we have a much more disturbing problem. So what's the solution? Well, I'll go ahead and escape out for a moment by pressing the escape key, of course. Let's check out the channels. I've gone ahead and created a mask channel down here. And wherever we see white, that is potential protection, and wherever we see black, that is open to modification. So we can see if I turn on the RGB composite at the same time, we can see that I'm allowing this area to scale right here, and everything else is protected. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the mask off, click on RGB in order to make it active once again, Shift-Tab away those panels, and I will go up to the Edit menu, and I will choose Content-Aware Scale. And I'll make this image narrower, just like I did before, but this time I'll go up to the Protect option, and I'll change it from None to Mask. You have to have an alpha channel prepared in advance to take advantage of this option. I do, of course, and I'll go ahead and set it. And now you can see both this platform in the background and Sammy are relatively protected, Sammy being my son there. And if I drag this farther apart, you can see this area right here, right in this area, this unprotected area, is the area that's getting scaled. So I can't scale this one too far, but I still can make a fair difference, much more than I could in the past, thanks to, of course, Content-Aware Scale. I'll go ahead and press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac, go up to the Image menu, choose the Trim command, go ahead and get rid of those transparent pixels, and there is my final photograph, my final scaled photograph, with all of the action happening in this little region here, and you can barely tell anything occurred. Content-aware scaling, it's the latest miracle of imaging technology here inside Photoshop CS4.
Watch the entire course at lynda.com, where you'll find over 700 hours of Adobe training.